Oh, someone's in the box. Nice.
Hey, what up, man?
What's going on? What's your take, John?
Okay, first of all, if Trump would have been elected, they would have been like, he's unconventional, but he's a good president, and like wouldn't have like said the Russia gate and wouldn't have like had all this shit, and then wouldn't have had like all the stuff that has basically accompanied his like media coverage since 2015. Like if CNN had covered him fairly up until like let's say 2 years ago, they're like, holy shit, breaking news, Donald Trump broke the law. Cool. I would be on board with you. But it's like this old story of the boy who cried wolf, when like they were like, oh, actually Trump is a Russian asset, and like all this stuff that ended up totally false. It ruined the credibility.
That wasn't false. Paul Manafort confirmed it. John Durham confirmed it. This has been confirmed
well, then
by the Trump team.
What? Oh, okay. So,
like you guys exonerating yourself by a jury of your peers,
dude. We're both.
Well,
Americans
I mean, you're
here.
doing that. You're literally in that camp. You're doing that. You're saying because Congress,
my knowledge that I have. If you present me new knowledge, I could change my opinion. Okay.
Your argument is though this stuff didn't happen because Congress did not find him guilty. The Republican-led Congress, or did not bring charges, did not bring an impeachment against him. The Republican-led Congress.
No, I hear you, but what it seemed like, and this is just a perception, my perception, and that could be incorrect, right? It seemed like from the instant that he decided he was going to run for president, like the coverage around Donald Trump, like everybody knew who Donald Trump was before he decided to be president, and nobody had like some bad opinion about him.
Yeah, no, we all did. No, I don't know where you're getting that from. We all had a bad opinion about Trump. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay. I
did not like Trump, and I don't know anybody that did like Trump.
You don't know anybody who did? Well, okay. Honestly,
at least in the Democratic sphere,
is because like I'm gonna vote for the guy who's gonna be pro-life, even if it is Trump or Biden, frankly. And so it's like it sucks, but
you're
it's
gonna
also
vote
like
for the guy that's pro-life.
Yeah, whoever is pro-life. That's the
guy that
one
separates the guy that separates kids at the border and use drone strikes to.
Have you seen what your guys doing at the border? It's fucked, bro. Like,
I'm asking. I mean, you're saying you're pro-life, but your party keeps voting against kids.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm mostly pro-life about unborn Americans first. That's a priority for me. It's like, yes, people in the UK
is a bad take. It's a nationalistic bad take.
Well, why are you mad at me? I'm just telling you how I feel.
It's
like, am I just a bad person for caring about unborn Americans before I care about unborn British kids?
No, I think you're a bad person because you care more about unborn Americans than you do born Americans. So
no, I care about born Americans more.
Okay, then you would vote for Biden.
Why?
Because the reality is Donald Trump has done a lot of really horrific things to people in the United States.
To people in the United States?
Yep.
Okay. Like
he tried to cut. I mean, you want to say about like protecting the kids and stuff. He tried to cut SNAP for starters.
He what?
Your Republicans tried to cut SNAP that helps kids.
Well, that's screwed up. I'm not for that.
You allowed coal ash and like you guys rolled back 100
unborn Americans. I'd be on
you guys rolled. So listen. They're not unborn Americans. They're fetuses. See how that works?
Well, you're dehumanizing them, just like slave owners dehumanize.
No.
Yeah, you're dehumanizing them.
No,
just like slave owners dehumanize their slaves. Yes.
No,
and you
because people that were enslaved had No. Because people that were enslaved had sentience. See how that works?
What? So at the time, people who were anti-abolitionist. Okay, they said that basically that slaves, like black people from Africa, were not human. That was their logic. Was that we're doing them a service by like.
Yeah, I know, but you trying to equate that to personhood is really
people.
You're
dehumanizing a member of the
listen
human
for
species.
a second. Listen for a second, okay? Because it's pretty disturbing what you're saying.
Why?
Because you are literally appropriating like the suffering of black people for political gain.
Appropriating? I'm pointing out a commonality where you're both dehumanizing.
It's not a commonality. It's not a because you humanize. Hold on a second. Hold on a second. You are trying to humanize something that's not inherently human. It doesn't inherently have personhood.
It's not human. It's not an elephant fetus. It's not a puppy.
Right.
It's not an unborn kitten.
It is a human fetus. Yes. It does not have personhood. Like can you listen for a second, man? Because you're not listening. Listen for a second. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. That's only fair.
Your belief is that a fetus has personhood. I do not believe that. There is no question about whether or not enslaved people had personhood and sentience. See how that works?
No, because the only difference is time.
What?
Eventually, people look back at the generations that used to unalive their unborn children with such disgust.
Yeah, that's conjecture.
Okay, well,
You see, no,
proven...
see, that's conjecture.
Okay,
and see, I can understand that. I can
hold on. Different. Tell me why it's different. You're like a girl in an argument. It's not the same. That's what
because
you're
applying life and personhood to something that's inherently not a person, right? So, like, for instance, if you wanted to make the argument about factory farming and how like despicable that is, and well, people thought that like this is bad, people will going to think this is bad in the future. That would I agree to, because there's a degree of sentience. There's a degree
so you care
of
more about a chicken than an unborn human.
If you can't stop fucking interrupting me, I'm gonna kick you out of the fucking live. How's that sound? Okay, I didn't ask you to interrupt me, and I will let you go. Thanks. The argument has to do with the morality. Your belief is that it's a person. Mine is that it's not. See how that works? There is no question, and that has to do with, in large part, with sentience. That's where most people draw the line. There is no question about whether or not other animals have pain receptors, whether or not they're able to feel in factory farming's fucked, right? Because there's no question there. But the idea of, is a fetus a person, is strictly moral. So you saying, oh, you view a live chicken as having more, I don't know, or being more important than a fetus is not my argument. My argument is that there's no question. See how that works? Like, I can envision a world in which
basically one group of human beings is not a person, just like
I'm explaining it to you because you're not getting it. Like one group, so for instance, like one group of chickens, right? I can envision a world in which we're like, ooh, we don't need to farm chicken anymore. See what I mean? Like we can create it in a lab. Like we don't have to farm chicken, right? I can see a world in which people go, factory farming's fucked up because we know this has sentience. But you're telling me that I should assign like personhood to a clump of cells? Just not going to happen.
So to me, where do you draw the line then? Why do you think sentience is such a big thing? Like, I think they're a member of the human species. They're the most memorable, most vulnerable member of the human species. They need to standing up for more than anybody else. They literally don't have a voice. They rely on us to stand up for them. They are a member of our species, and you want to fucking kill them. Am I wrong?
I draw the line at you asserting that we should force women to do X. That's where I draw the line. See, because if like a parent is mistreating their kid and neglecting their kid, then the parent should be held responsible. Why? Because that child is alive. It has sentience. It is autonomous, right?
So you're telling me that a newborn baby is autonomous and has sentience? Give me a break. Okay.
Yes.
A newborn child cannot survive without constant 24/7 care. Okay.
If
you're a mom and you give birth to a kid and then you just leave it, okay, you're put in jail for negligence, just like you said. But if it was 2 days before and you literally like pay somebody for like,
no one is arguing that. Nobody is arguing that. And the law has always stated, clear and concise, it has to do with homeostasis, the ability to maintain. But the answer to that is yes. The law has always stated it is until first breath because it's relying on the mother. But people don't have abortions in the 9th fucking month or 2 days before they're supposed to give birth. That doesn't happen.
Why was partial birth abortion legislation even up for debate?
Why
in like 2006 was there partial birth abortion that was trying to be passed?
Passed where? Partial birth abortion is a talking point. It's a propagandist term. It doesn't have an actual medical...
Okay, well, there's lots of people on TikTok who will actively say pro-choice all 9 months. And when I talk about it, they fundamentally don't think that humans have inherent value. Are you one of those people?
I am one of those people that believe that you're attempting to restrain women's reproductive rights. It has nothing to do with the last 2 months. Or 3 months or the third trimester. That's not why this is an issue for you. Your issue is to restrict women all the way back. So for you to use this hyper-specific example, in the last 2 months, because that's not what your rhetoric, your logic, or your wants for policy positions are. Yours are the entire 9 months. So you saying this last 2 months is a red herring.
Yeah, I know, but I just felt like it would be obvious to everybody that that was bad. I was trying to use extremes to like show the absurdity. Okay. So I obviously hear you. And I do get that it's a complicated, muddy issue, especially around the 1% of abortions that are something like SA or, like incest or like there's a whole bunch of stuff that fits in that 1% of abortions. And I'm not even out to take away the 1% of abortions. I'm out to take away the 99% that are like literal defenseless, abhorrent, like disgusting display of cruelty by ourselves as a nation.
How is it a cruelty to
99% of those aren't late term?
Right. So how is it cruelty to terminate
a pregnancy? A new human, to go through why is it cruelty to create a new human and then destroy them? So that is absolutely cruel. It's
cruel. How is it? Who is it cruel to? Sorry,
without suffering.
Who is it cruel to?
Okay, if I had a puppy mill where I made a bunch of puppies and then the ones that I didn't sell I dumped in a ditch, I should go to jail, right? Because that was.
But they've been born.
What's
they
the
have
difference?
been born. They have been born.
How does that
Their
matter?
level of sentience and capacity for pain.
They don't call them unborn. Like when a mom dog is pregnant, nobody's like, oh, that's not actually a little dog's inside her. Like obviously there's little puppies inside her.
But you're not talking about fetal puppies. You're talking about born puppies.
I'm just saying that it's to create.
Surely
life,
that line of symmetry matters, though. You
evil.
can't discard fetuses of dogs that haven't been born yet. You can't throw those in a ditch.
So
we're talking about dogs.
There was a lady that came to my high school. She was aborted, but she didn't die during the process.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't aborted then.
Well, no, she wasn't.
Also, this argument about
wait, hold on. I know.
Her face is
I
all
saw
scarred.
this. Yeah, no. I saw this.
Yeah, it's definitely from an abortion.
Yeah, I saw this. This is like this lady's a propagandist. She goes around and she has no verification that this story even happened, and it's not even possible.
James O'Keefe videos. Okay, you're going to deny the legitimateness of the James O'Keefe.
Yes, I'm going to deny James
Almost
O'Keefe.
Certainly.
Yes, who's been sued successfully for right because he's been sued.
It was in a Planned Parenthood. You can't fucking argue.
Cool, awesome. Can you stop? Right, he's been sued twice successfully for doctoring footage for splicing it. He has a third one, and he was fired.
Give me a break.
Yes, he was sued. He lost a defamation lawsuit for splicing together footage 2 times, and he's in the middle of a third one. Yeah.
So I don't think you understand that, like, anybody with eyes knows what Planned Parenthood is about. Like, you'll have rhetoric that says, oh, it's about women's health, and they do all these other things.
Right.
But if you look at their sheets, you look at their actual, like, numbers, which they have to publicly report. Planned Parenthood's main business is killing little unborn Americans.
Okay, all right, awesome, cool. Stay muted for a second. Awesome. Planned Parenthood.
#1 service is birth control.
Yeah, I know. He's fucking up a stat. I can see where he fucked up the stat. 1 second. So he's fucking up the stat because in 2021, 2022, abortions made up 97.2% of Planned Parenthood's pregnancy resolution services, which basically means that what?
That's literally what I was talking about.
I know you read it wrong. That's what I was trying to explain. You misunderstood it. Cool. So what it's talking about is pregnancy resolution services specifically. Planned Parenthood does a lot of abortions in large part because they service low-income communities, and like that's, but I'm looking for the actual percent. Do you have the percentage, Jaden?
No,
3%.
and I don't have that readily available.
It's 3%.
I believe
it's 3%. Planned Parenthood
what I'm
says
saying
3%
is, like,
of its
you go to
services
like
are
Crisis
providing
Pregnancy
abortions.
Center, and you're like, hey, I'm pregnant. If one of the options and it was like, if you're in this really bad situation, then get an abortion, that's one thing. But if it's like you show up to Planned Parenthood pregnant, that baby gonna die. Like, there's no other option. It should be.
No, there is. They actually talk about the other services they
free
provide.
rent for the next 9 months. We will pay for your food for the next 9 months. We will pay for.
Wait, why not after that? Why not after that? So you're not for. So are you for like giving women SNAP?
Okay, maybe the first 2 or 3 years too. Honestly, well,
I mean, you're forcing women to have. You're forcing women to have the child. So why aren't you paying for it the entire? Why aren't you paying child support on the child for?
Honestly, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. I think that if you applied and were denied an abortion or chose to go with this like government thing, then basically you should have to give it up for adoption, because obviously you're not capable of being a mother because you just about killed your fucking kid. So like you take it.
And you've never adopted
language, please. Can we stop with this disgusting
I would appreciate it.
characterization of
You guys
what
are
goes on at
talking
Planned
about.
Yeah.
Parenthood.
Have you hold on, excuse me. Have you
I've
ever
never been to one, I'm almost certain.
Bro, have you ever adopted a child? I'm just curious.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh.
No, I
you've
haven't.
Never
But I
done
know
that?
people who have.
Yeah, that's not you.
Okay. So what?
What do you mean, so what?
So I'm saying that adoption is a way better, way better thing than just terminating.
Okay, so right, but
American.
you care about kids, right? And you're actively in the party that the only thing they want to do is make sure they're born.
The principle of the matter.
The principle of principle. So do you care about the fact that Republicans voted against school lunches?
Yeah, I do care. That sucks. And I wish that the
And then you're going to vote for him anyways?
What? Yeah, because I care a lot more.
God, that's so disgusting that
Yes.
he would let something sentient starve. That's so absolutely gross. I just did what
you're
he
telling
did.
me that
I
people
literally just
are
did what you
actively
did.
starving in the streets. There's no food banks. There's no way for them to eat. Like,
Oh, now
first
it's
of all,
there. Now you don't care about the kids. Okay, I see.
What are you talking about? I'm saying that.
Have you volunteered at any food banks?
Apply to every American.
Have you
including
volunteered in
unborn.
any food banks?
Have I volunteered? No, I've donated a lot though.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. Not adopted a kid though.
Well, I don't even know if like my fiance will even want to have a kid, especially because like the economy is super shit. So like I hear your point. Okay. I hear your point that like how could you like force somebody to like have such an economic burden, especially when it's like not any of my fucking business what they do with their body. I hear what you're saying, but I'm saying like we've got to have morals. We've got to stand by them. And maybe, just maybe, if it was well known that like if you like slept around, you're gonna like get pregnant, and then the guy can never get away. I think guys, if you have sex and she's pregnant, you have to pay child support. No ifs, ands, or buts. Seriously. I think there should be no escaping for the guy either.
What is this? I
I think a better, more
understand.
practical solution would be mandatory vasectomies. If we're arguing that unplanned pregnancies can be easily prevented and not have to risk something as detrimental.
I
as
think
in
that
your
if
view
you're
as
going
abortion.
around screwing chicks, like seriously, yeah.
Why are you so concerned about that? Like this is like a total
Because
slut
it's the
shaming
one
thing.
process that creates humans. If
Who
there was
cares?
a bunch of ways that if humans
Who
just
gives a
popped
shit?
up out of nowhere, because it's like, what? Who are you to create somebody just like you, the same value as you, and then just snuff them out because you felt like it? That's evil.
Because they're
as
not
shit.
I mean
alive?
the same values. It's the same DNA content as you. But to
No, it's
grant
a
them
new
some
DNA.
kind of preconceived. It is your DNA, but to grant them this sort of preconceived notion that they're going to be just like you. Exactly.
No,
like
I'm
you
not
have
saying
your
just like
morals
you.
and
I'm saying
values.
the same level.
I think it's
of
just
creature,
adding
the
some
same
level of
next
personification
level
that
worse.
does. Can you stop? It's adding some level of unrealistic personification that does not exist in the real world, and you and I both know that. It's the reason why, if there was a burning hospital, you'd opt for the or for the babies in the ward instead of some kind of frozen embryo chamber on the level 2.
Bethany, you want
You'd
to
opt to
talk
save
now?
their born babies.
Yeah, but I'd still, in an ideal scenario, save them all, wouldn't you?
You can't.
Well, then, yeah, in your like, I mean, if the mother's life is in danger or like any situation like that, I'm just
How are you
talking
going to
about.
save a frozen embryo?
Well, I
With a
think
popsicle.
freezing embryos is like kind of like I don't know.
Popsicle stick, Jane.
Like,
Popsicle stick.
That gets really messy with me. Like that's on the fringes, you know, of where things make sense to me. Because like at that point, it's like clones basically. Like you've got like so many of them. I don't know how I feel about like frozen embryos.
Do you know
What
how
is
you
it?
feel about the imaginary concept of partial birth abortion or post-birth abortion that doesn't exist?
I didn't bring up is
If you can
post-birth
debate
abortion
the
a thing?
ethics of that
They, like,
unrealistic
literally
scenario,
give
you can
birth
debate
and then
this.
kill him. That's not a thing, right?
It doesn't
The
happen.
post-birth-
Of course, it's
Okay,
not a thing. Neither is
Okay, well,
partial
you
birth
brought it up,
abortion.
dude.
You brought it up earlier. I'm saying if you can question the ethics of that, I'm saying if you can question the ethics of that wildly unrealistic scenario, then we can talk about this burning hospital with frozen embryos as well.
Okay, so to me, if there was a button and I pressed it and there was a clone of me that popped up, I wouldn't try and like, I wouldn't feel like I deserve to like determine whether that clone of me should live or die. Obviously, having a kid's not a clone. Obviously, they're their own person with their own unique DNA as soon as the sperm hits the egg. But even like in The Sims, if like one of the Sims created another Sim and then just like murdered the Sim, you'd be like, Jesus Christ, something's wrong with that Sim, right?
Well,
How did we get
Tony Polisi here. You've been 86 from the live, unfortunately. Anything? Any final words?
Yeah, I really wish that the Democrats would
I'm just
kidding.
Okay, that's
Go
enough. I had to add 3. I had to add theatrics. And someone paid to kick, and it didn't say for him. Can we get some dubs for Bethany? Bethany in the chat, appreciate it. Bethany, dubs.